اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. Oh Allah, teach us what benefits us and benefit us from what you've taught us and increase in our knowledge. Sisters and brothers, welcome back to our fifth night together on this journey of discovery and exploration of Imam Hussein alayhi salam's divine transformative journey to Karbala. It's an honor once again to be among you, my friends, my brothers and my sisters. I think over the past couple of nights we've set a strong foundation in what we've been discussing, in trying to uncover and understand the ultimate purpose of our existence. To truly understand why Imam Hussein alayhi salam's movement was so significant, we needed to know what it was tied to. And it was tied to our purpose in this world. We needed to embark on a journey of understanding, why did God create us? Why are we in this world in the first place? Our ultimate goal, whether we know it or not, is to achieve what the Quran describes as an-nafs al-mutma'inna, the tranquil soul. If you want to truly be or attain this tranquil soul, you need to understand your purpose as a representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth. Every single night I repeat what we've spoken about, and it's on purpose. I want to repeat so everything we discuss falls into place, so it makes sense. So we're not just gaining information for the sake of information. We want this information to be coherent, to work with each other. A sign of an-nafs al-mutma'inna, a tranquil soul, is the harmony that exists within this nafs. And this harmony has to exist, and this balance manifests itself in three primary domains, or three primary dimensions of our being. We said the first dimension is al-aql, the mind, the second is al-qalb, and the third is al-jism. Al-qalb, the heart, and al-jism, the body. These dimensions aren't separate entities. We gave the example, if you remember, of the wells, the groundwater, and that they're interconnected and they all work with each other and they influence each other. Last night we established a crucial point, that each one of these dimensions requires its own system for it to have harmony. It's not just you want to create harmony with these paradigms within yourself, but there's no system. There has to be a way for me to find this harmony. And we said for the mind we need a system to create harmony, a system of beliefs and understanding. For our heart we need a system of values to structure and manage our emotions and our desires. And for the body we need a system for our actions and our behaviors and our practices. And we said these operating systems and these manuals are not random. As in, each person come and create their own operating system and their manual, because we haven't created these systems. We don't know what they need. And if you right now bought a car and each one of us buys a car and says, I want to treat this car however I want, you're not going to have a car that's functioning. You have to go to the person who created the car and said, all right, how much oil does it need? How do I take care of this car to make sure that it lasts and I actually get the outcome that I'm supposed to get from using this car and achieving its purpose? Tonight, what we're going to do, my brothers and sisters, is we're delving deeper into the first dimension, which is the dimension of the mind. We're going to explore, what does Islam provide? What is the comprehensive system that Islam provides for us to develop and nurture our intellect and understand this part and this system within us that is, inshallah, one of the guiding forces and the primary forces that leads us to obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you would allow me to begin, please recite as-salawat ala Muhammad wa ali. It's important to know, my brothers and sisters, that the term the mind can refer to many different aspects of the mind, depending on what field you're talking about, depending on the context that you're talking about. When I say al-aql, or the mind, we're referring to the conscious, thinking and analytical mind. The part within you which allows you to differentiate between right and wrong, truthhood from falsehood. Prefrontal cortex plays a part in the brain, and the temporal lobes. So when we're talking about the conscious mind, that's what we're talking about. But to understand this, I want to share with you an analogy. I want you to picture your mind or your intellect like a muscle. Like whoever goes to the gym, if you want to go and build your biceps or your triceps or some other ceps, if you want to build something, some muscle, you need to go to the gym and you need to train, you need to practice. Now what happens when you stop practicing? What happens when you stop training and going to the gym? The muscle weakens. Your intellect in your mind is just like this muscle. It grows with exercise and it dimmens and weakens with the lack of use. So when you, and this is backed not just by modern science, but even the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, the Holy Prophet alludes to this. He says, "Inna al-aqla yamut idha lam yusta'." That indeed the intellect dies when it's not used, just as the animal dies when it's not ridden, when it's not maintained. Islam places a huge emphasis on thinking, on seeking knowledge, on answering questions. Our religion isn't just one of blind faith. The first thing you study in Aqidah, in theology, is you can't just follow others when it comes to belief. You need to think, you need to analyze, you need to come to conclusions using your analytical mind. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran constantly mentions the idea of contemplation and reflection. And this is not just a suggestion. This is part of your being. If you do not nurture this part of you, then there's a certain thirst that your mind has that's never going to be quenched. Now, this concept or this idea of seeking knowledge that we're putting forth as the strength, that the element that strengthens this part of your existence is not just an action. Right now, we live in a time where you go to school. You start from preschool, you go to kindergarten, you go to primary school, you finish high school, potentially go to university or TAFE, you finish university or TAFE, and your journey of knowledge finishes. You go to work and you continue. Islam doesn't say this. Islam says the seeking of knowledge is a way of life. Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim, not just in a phase or part of your life. It's an essential need for you to attain your purpose as the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to empower this faculty. Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam says a beautiful quote. He says, if people knew the value in seeking knowledge, they would pursue it even if it meant shedding their lifeblood, even if it meant plunging into deep seas. That's the importance of seeking knowledge. So we know that we need to seek knowledge. The question is, and I'm sure that some of you guys are asking this question, what type of knowledge? What knowledge are we supposed to seek? What knowledge should we prioritize? I can go and study physics. I could go and study to become a doctor. There's so many things I could study. I could study graphic design. I could study anything. So what knowledge is God talking about? Islam guides us to prioritize the knowledge that relates to our existence and to the existence of our souls, to our perfection, to our takamul. And this is, my brothers and sisters, this is not to understate or to criticize other forms of knowledge. Of course not. Science and medicine and physics, these are crucial for our society. They're crucial for the functioning of any society. All these different types of knowledge, regardless of what trade you're in, regardless of what field you're in, all of these, society needs it. However, the primary value of this knowledge lies in its practical application. Meaning, imagine we lived in a society where no one here gets sick, then the knowledge of medicine wouldn't be that important. Or for example, we live in a society where there's 150 doctors and we only need 10. Then becoming a doctor is no longer necessary. It's information and knowledge that's not important. Because there's people that hold that status or that place in society and they're filling that gap. So if you want to help society, that's fine. Go get some other knowledge that's useful for the society in another field, in another gap. But this isn't the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about. The knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about, Imam Ali alayhi salam alludes to it in a beautiful hadith. He says, Rahimallah, it's a framework. Rahimallahu mri'in arifa min ayn wa fi ayn wa ila ayn. May Allah have mercy upon the one who knows from where, in where, and to where. I'm going to unfold and unpack this hadith in a moment. But the knowledge of our origin, our present, our current state, and the knowledge of our future. Each human being comes to one point in their life, the aha moment. People go through this and they ask themselves this question sometimes a bit too late in life. Islam says you have to come and start asking this question from the get-go. Min ayn, wa fi ayn, wa ila ayn. And that's, once again, I'm going to make it clear. This does not mean we neglect any other form of knowledge. It means that we prioritize the knowledge that directly impacts our purpose as khulafa on earth. You use that knowledge to create a lens in which you view the world. And through that lens, you attain any knowledge you want. But if you attain knowledge that can be detrimental to your nafs, without understanding your nafs, you wouldn't know that you're intoxicating your nafs in the first place. Unless you have that information, that ma'rifah in the beginning. I'll give you an example. I had a student once come up to me and we're talking about procrastination. And I was giving him some tips on how to overcome that. And I gave him, one of the tips was, because a lot of them had a problem with TikTok. When we doom scroll on TikTok. Once you're on TikTok, just go and scroll for hours. And one of the students comes up, he had this clever answer. He's like, yes, I go on TikTok, but sir, I learn a lot on TikTok. Like, yeah, I'm scrolling, but I don't watch all that bad stuff. I learn a lot on TikTok. I'm like, oh really? It's awesome. So how long do you stay scrolling for? But an hour, 2 hours, but you should see the things that I learn. I'm like, all right, so tell me, what you learn? It's like, I can't remember now, but I learned so much stuff. What are you doing with this knowledge then? But the information, not knowledge, the information that entered your mind wasn't processed into knowledge. We call this in NLP the process of internalization. It's when information turns into knowledge. An example of this would be when you've heard something 1,000,000 times, but that one time it clicks. Like, I've heard this 1,000,000 times, because it went from the phase of information to, now I comprehend this information. I've internalized this information. So you could scroll through TikTok, but you're not internalizing knowledge. You're gaining random information that's not connected. It has no meaning. It might be an interesting fact that you could share with a friend in a sahara, a post that you could put on Facebook or Instagram, but nothing that would take you to the divine purpose of your being a Khalifa on this earth. No. That's not ma'rifat min ayn, wa fi ayn, wa ila ayn. So there are essential types of knowledge, my brothers and sisters. So let's begin by understanding the first type, the first essential knowledge. And that is understanding our origin. Remember, we said yesterday and the nights before, and that we reaffirmed multiple times, that Imam Hussein alayhi salam's mission and Imam Hussein's character and the companions of the Imam and the family of the Imam were all orientated with Tawheed. The lens, the glasses in which they used to view the world was one of Tawheed. They recognized that they come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the origin of all existence. And not just Allah created me. When they say we acknowledge that Allah is the origin, they mean Allah in all of His attributes, all of His manifestation, all of His characteristics and beautiful, majestic sifat. So the first is understanding that we are His creations, we are the servants of God, we are the representatives of God. We are the khulafa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes this clear. Unquestionably for Him is all of creation and command. Blessed is Allah, Lord of all the world. So, number one, understanding our origin in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a profound sense of purpose and responsibility. Then, the next crucial area we must understand is our current state, wafi ayn, which is the knowledge of the self, which is understanding our soul, understanding our potential, understanding our power and how to harness our power. Bless you. Recognizing our strengths and weaknesses, learning how to purify our intentions and our actions, understanding our reactions and our internal programming. How has my childhood impacted me today? How has my upbringing impacted and shaped the way I see the world? You need to understand what led you to this moment. What is your taklif in this world? And part of self-knowledge, brothers and sisters, Allama Tabatabai actually puts this beautiful. He says, part of the journey of knowing oneself is knowing one's Imam and Prophet. Because if you want to understand yourself in terms of what the intended outcome and the desired outcome is, what you want to become, then you want to look at your measurement, which is the Holy Prophet, who's the perfect being. and the divine leaders after them, the Imams alayhi salam, who are your measurement and guide. So knowing oneself is tied to knowing their leader, knowing their Imam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam puts this amazingly when he says, "Man arifa nafsah faqad arifa rabbah." He who knows himself knows thy Lord. That one of the very important elements that goes into your faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is understanding yourself. When you start to understand yourself more, it gives you insight. Inshallah, in another occasion, we can delve deeper into this hadith and its practical implications. So that's knowledge of fi ayn. Then the third essential type of knowledge, which is the knowledge of the destination. And the third type of knowledge, this essential knowledge, is extremely important, brothers and sisters, because it puts you in perspective. It gives you perspective about life. Recognizing that this world, this dunya, as we mentioned, is a dunya which is a temporary world. It's temporary in nature, that it will pass in nature. Not understanding that your true reality, your true existence right now is going to live forever in the hereafter, not in this earth. And that this earth, as the Holy Prophet puts it, is just like a farmland where you're just now planting your crops. You're taking care of the crops, you're planting crops, and inshallah in the hereafter you start to see what do these crops bear, the fruit of these crops, and understanding the nature of this. And that our ultimate goal is to feel that divine proximity with a tranquil soul, with a nafs. Now, my brothers and sisters, these three types of knowledge form the foundation of this spiritual journey that we're on. Ma'rifat, min ayn, fi ayn wa ila ayn. And they're not separate, they're all interconnected. Let me show you how. When you truly try to understand your origin is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you realize my destination is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Min ayn, Allah, you realize that I'm going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna lillah. When you strive to know yourself, you're now in a better position of understanding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you comprehend your destination, the hereafter, that comprehension lights up your path in this world. It gives you a proper lens to see the world in. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam made this clear. So, now that we've understood this, let's see how this is applied within an Islamic framework. When you understand these different types of essential knowledge that shape your faith, how are these categorized when it comes to the very principles of religion? This is how we categorize it, especially in the Shia school of thought. When we say usul al-din can come back to these three elements. For example, we have our 5 usul al-din, the 5 fundamental foundations of religion, which are considered usul al-din. This is what these foundations are. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It begins, as we mentioned, with Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By the way, when we say these are the foundations, we're saying if you are considered a Muslim today, what differentiates you as a Muslim from someone who believes in Buddha, for example, or someone who believes in, for example, Jesus Christ, or someone that believes in, whatever religion, what the differentiating factor between you and all of these different belief systems and worldviews are these 5 key foundations. Number 1 is that you and I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. He is the origin. The second foundation is divine justice. And this is tied to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes. Allah's absolute justice in creation. Allah does not oppress or wrong the people at all. That's one characteristic or quality that you completely remove when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is extremely important as well. You know, the people that they question why, if God exists, and why does this happen, and why do natural disasters happen, and why was this person, created disabled, and so on. They come up with all of these problems. The reason why you can come up with all of these questions is because you don't believe that God is the most just. If you genuinely believe that God is just and He does not oppress, then He will never do anything out of line. He will never do anything that is unjust or oppressive to the human being. So as a Muslim, you interpret natural disasters or any of these things in a different light. Because your mindset and your worldview, you start from a different starting point. That's the second, al-adl. The third foundation of your religion and my religion, my brothers and sisters, is nubuwwah, prophethood. We believe in prophets. We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He said, you are khulafa al-ard, you are my representatives, He put forward an example. He put forward people, messengers that have a divine message from Him to teach us how to attain this purpose. He didn't just put us on this earth randomly and say, figure it out. He sent prophets. And we sent not before you except men to whom we revealed our message. And this, what does this tie to? Remember, fi ain, our present. We said, if you want to achieve your purpose in this dunya, in your present moment, you need to tie yourself to an example which is perfect. You need to tie yourself to an example which you could look at and say, oh, I'm going to emulate that. The fourth is imamah, divine leadership. Imamah, my brothers and sisters, is not only do we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent prophets to give us this religion, we also believe that God will never leave us on this earth without a leader to embody this religion, to practically portray and show us this religion, to express this religion, to lead us. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts forth in every time, in every period, an imam. That's why the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, says, "Man mata wa lam ya'rif imama zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliyan." Whoever dies without recognizing the imam of their time dies the death of ignorance. And this is also tied to fi'ain. Our final pillar, final foundation of our belief system that the mind must work by is ma'ad. And that is resurrection. That is the hereafter. That is the world after this world, the eternal world that will come. And this belief also shapes the way we see the world. For example, if you were in this region of the world and you did not believe in a hereafter, what reason would you have to have hope? Think about it. If you right now are being bombarded for months, almost 9-10 months, and being wiped off the face of this earth, if they did not believe that we are going to God and God is just, the most just, think about it. On the other hand, you see people that have no faith in God and they cannot accept the reality of injustice. And how will Allah judge these people that are carrying out this injustice? For us, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a special place for these zalimeen. And on the day of judgment, He's gonna extract that from them, that justice. For now, we just have to be of the patient. If you didn't believe in ma'ad, that would have been detrimental. If we believed in everything but ma'ad, that would have been enough to remove our ability to have hope in this earth, on this earth. So now, brothers, we've journeyed, we've understood. These are the five, brothers and sisters. These are the five foundations of our religion. We said Tawheed, divine justice, nubuwwah, imamah, and ma'ad. And that these are all tied. These are the essential, these are the fundamentals that your mind needs, the lens in which it needs to view the world. My dear brothers and sisters, remember how I made that distinction earlier between understanding and internalizing? These concepts are not just for understanding. They're also, you must internalize them. Do you remember the example that I gave you when you were driving on the road and you threw the rubbish out in the middle of the night and no one was seeing you? See, when you understand that God is one and God is watching and God is observing, but you don't internalize it, then you still might throw something else out the window. When you internalize it, you experience it in the moment. You experience that Allah is watching me right now. Who has been to ziyarah or to hajj? Put your hand up. If you've been to ziyarah or to hajj, or if you've had, an amazing experience, like for example, you've had a child or something huge in your life. You go to ziyarah, you go to hajj, you go to nature, you're sitting down and you're seeing this beautiful view, whether it's the maqam, whether it's the Kaaba, whether it's the shrine of the Imam, or a beautiful newborn child, or a beautiful scene in nature. And in that moment, you feel Allahu Akbar. You might say it, but you feel it. For example, when you look at the qibla of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, you feel like, subhanallah. You fall to your knees. The difference between understanding, internalizing. That's the difference. So we want to internalize this worldview. We want to internalize these 5 fundamentals of our religion. Because through these, this becomes the program in which you use to create harmony within you. Between the heart, between the mind, between the body. Listen to this powerful statement by Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam. He says, "Ma aqbaha bil-rajul." How ugly is it for a man to live 70 or 80 years in the kingdom of Allah, eating from His bounties? This is what we're talking about, internalizing these understandings and these components. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In a world filled with addictions and addiction, I know it's sometimes we can get carried away and we could forget this stuff. We know it's important theoretically, but to actually apply it in our life, we forget it. Like we remember in times like Muharram, we remember in times like Layal al-Qadr in Shahr Ramadan, Layal al-Fatimiyya. But to always be thinking about this, we lose focus, we lose track. Look what the Prophet says. He says, the best worship, not 100 times, 100 rak'at at night. It's not, reading a juz'a of Quran before Fajr. It's not constantly trying to finish a'mal and actions. He says, Afdalul ibadah, the best form of worship is the addiction to the contemplation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His power. When you become addicted in contemplating the beauty of God, always taken by the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Always thinking about the signs of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put forward for you. That is the best form of obedience. Because in that state, brothers and sisters, you're always conscious, you're always aware of. That's taqwa. Now, brothers and sisters, you find that these foundations of belief, these usul al-din, were not just abstract concepts. And the reason why we're mentioning them is because in Imam Hussein's movement, they were heavily involved. They were the companions and the Ahlul Bayt and the Imam alayhi salam, they were living these truths in every action. Their stand was a stand of Tawheed. Their sacrifice demonstrated that they believed in the adala of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah's just. Now, we're going to die now, but God's just. This won't happen for no reason. Their mission was a continuation of the Prophet's mission, Nubuwwah. Imam Hussain made it clear that I'm up to revive the mission of my grandfather. Imam Hussein's leadership was the manifestation of Imamah. And the courage and the way they viewed death was a firm belief in Ma'ad. If they didn't believe in the hereafter, they wouldn't have approached death the way they did. Qasim alayhi salam, the son of Imam Hassan, he characterizes and describes death as sweeter than honey. If he didn't believe in tomorrow I'm going to see the Holy Prophet, he wouldn't have seen death as sweeter than honey. And that's why you see that in Karbala, we see the manifestation of what's called the lovers of martyrdom, or Ushaq al-Shahada. The companions in the Ahlul Bayt, regardless whether you were a 13-year-old like Qasim or whether you were 80 or 90-year-olds like Habib, regardless of how old you are, they were in love and infatuated with martyrdom because they had understood these principles. Companions of Imam Hussain, brothers and sisters, weren't just the brave warriors. They were the living examples of everything that we've mentioned. They understood their origin, min ayn. They knew their current state, fi ayn. And they understood their ultimate destination, ila ayn. And their loyalty alongside Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam was a testament to that belief. Imam al-Mahdi ajalallah ta'ala farajahu al-sharif, he honors these companions alayhi salam in the following way in Ziyarat al-Nahiya. He says, Assalamu alaykum ya khayra ansar. Assalamu alaykum bima sabartum fa ni'ma uqbad dar. He says, peace be upon you, O best of supporters. Peace be upon you for your patience, for what an excellent final abode. May Allah place you in the abode of the righteous. I bear witness that Allah has removed the veil for you. He's prepared the ground for you and granted you abundant awards. You are not slow in supporting the truth, and you are our predecessors, and we are your companions in the eternal abode. Listen to Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. Abu Hamza al-Thumali relates this to Imam Zayn al-Abidin. He says, on the night preceding his martyrdom, on the night of the 10th of Muharram, my father gathered his family and companions and said, Laylat Ashura. He gathers his companions and he says, O people of my family and my Shia, هذا الليل قد غشيكم. Consider this night which has come to you as a mountain camel, and save yourselves. Leave, for these people do not desire anyone else except me. For if they kill me, they shall not pursue you. May Allah have mercy upon you. Save yourselves. Verily, I lift the responsibility of my allegiance and pledge which you have taken at my hands. Imagine, brothers and sisters, Imam alayhi salam wasn't joking around. He wasn't trying to cheap trick his companions or manipulate his companions. He literally gave them the green light to leave. And he said, you'll still make it to paradise. You'll still make it to heaven. What do you think they did? The companions and the family of the Imam, how did they react? Close your eyes, brothers and sisters, and imagine the scene. A piece of poetry to portray this reality. On a night as silent as whispers, on a night as silent as whispers, under the sky so divine, Imam said to his brothers, his kin and companions in line, by Allah, dear Master Ya Aba Abdullah, they all insisted and cried, we shall not betray you, nor from your shadow will side. No man amongst them would allow such a tale to say they abandoned their Imam, their ship to set sail. They pledged, we won't leave you, even as death unveils, to ransom our lives for you. Our commitment never fails. What does Imam say? Tomorrow, my dear ones, will bring a sorrowful day. Not just I, but alongside me, you all too shall be slain. Every soul here present, life will recede away in the face of injustice. With our lives we'll pay. What's their reply? Praise be to Allah. They echoed the night for giving us the chance to stand up for what's right, to
join you, Ya Aba Abdullah, to join you in martyrdom, in his heavenly light. In paradise your station, our hearts pure sight. The Imam's heart full of love, then he softly replied, may Allah reward you favorably, as 'tis he denied the hearts of the brave, their courage untied, ready to embrace destiny where truth and martyrdom collide. Brothers and sisters, on the 10th day of Muharram, on the day of Ashura, imagine the scene. Imam al-Hussein looks to his left and looks to his right. The war is about to begin. Umar ibn Sa'd fires the first arrow. The companions are prepared. The general and the flag bearers are prepared. The final showdown between truth and evil. In the plains of Karbala, under the burning sun, stood valiant companions of Hussein, the Holy One. Their hearts filled with loyalty, their faith strong and bright. They chose to embrace martyrdom for God's eternal light. First came Muslim bin Awsaja with courage untold. His allegiance with Hussein more precious than gold. He rode in the battlefield like a lion so grand. Oh, oppressors, you deviate from faith, you fail to understand. In the fury of battle, Muslim fell in the fray, yet his spirit soared to heavens in Allah's way. His dying wish to his brothers, so emotional and raw, to protect our master Hussein from tyranny's claw. Then Burayr bin Khuzair, an old man of wisdom and grace, on the battlefield he found his final resting place. His sword flashed like lightning, his courage never did wane. With each breath he pledged in the name of Hussein. Amr bin Qartab al-Ansari, a symbol of bravery, stood against injustice, fought for Allah's glory. The right wing and left valiantly attacked by Shimr's vicious forces. Imam's army was tracked, yet each companion stood firm, their purpose never to bend in the face of injustice, their honor to defend. Who's next, brothers and sisters? Habib ibn Mudahir, a companion true and loyal. His courage unwavering, his spirit is royal. He fell defending Hussein, his sacrifice forever etched, a beacon for all time, a call for justice has been sketched. By Allah's will, who is next? The Kufan army struck with arrows flying wide. Imam Hussein's companions all fought side by side. Their horses were struck down, their spirits did not wane. For every drop of blood was a victory in Hussein's name. From the tents, women watched with hearts so brave, as each companion to the cause his life he gave. In the face of Shimr's threat, they showed no fear, for in their hearts Allah's promise was also clear. Many more companions, many more companions, their names etched in our heart, stood by Hussein's side from the very start. Their martyrdom a beacon, guiding us to see the path of righteousness, the way to truly be. As the day of Ashura all but came to an end, as the day of Ashura all but came to an end, with their martyrdom, a message, a pure message they all did send. What was the message, my brothers and sisters? Uphold this message in the face of injustice, standing tall in the face of injustice, stand tall and never sway. For the path of truth is Imam Hussein's way. Remember these heroes in your prayers each night, for they chose Allah's path, they chose the righteous fight. The companions of Hussein in our hearts will forever reside, a testament to their faith. In their sacrifice we take pride. So let us gather, my brothers, in our solemn cries, the sacrifice of the companions under Karbala's skies. Hussein wa Hussein, Hussein wa Hussein. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, laqad ata az-zaman alayna. It's as if Abu Abdullah now looks to his family. Hawaqtukum ya abna Rasulullah. The companions have been sacrificed. Now it is the time for the family of the Prophet. Soon Hussein will be all alone on the plains of Karbala, thirsty and tired with no home. His women all prepare for the harsh reality. What reality? A reality without Hussein. Hussein عينا